Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody, and it's a great pleasure to have you here for our second day of the Tax and Development Days. I'm Zaida Manat, I'm the head of the Global Forum Secretariat, and I will be moderating this panel. I'm super honored to be here today, and I hope you enjoy this panel. So over the 10 years ago, in 2014, the Common Reporting Standard for Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information was developed. By 2017 or 2018, around 100 jurisdictions started exchanging information, and this number continues to grow. Now we have 127 jurisdictions that have committed to implement this standard by a specific date. This standard has had already a real impact in the fight against tax evasion, with close to 96 billion of euros in additional revenue having been identified thanks to voluntary disclosure programs and to the use of the data received by the jurisdictions. Around 1/3 of this amount has been identified by developing countries. So developing countries are also net receivers of CRS data, meaning that they receive more information than what they send. So as the world evolves, new challenges emerge, including the development of crypto assets. Crypto assets can be transferred and held outside traditional financial intermediaries. So the new crypto asset reporting framework aims at ensuring the transparency of the crypto asset transactions and also provides new opportunities for jurisdictions, including developing ones, to enhance their supervision. So in this session today, the comprehensive support that is available to jurisdictions that wish to implement and benefit from automatic exchange of information will be presented, but we will also hear jurisdictions' experience in implementing and benefiting from automatic exchange of information. I am super pleased to introduce our speakers. Please welcome Mr. Geoffrey Njuguna, the Deputy Commissioner of the International Tax of the Kenya Revenue Authority, Mr. Edward Apentek Jamera, Domestic Tax Commissioner of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. Mario Ramos Martinez, the Director General of Tax from Costa Rica, Mr. Julius Nikwazire, Assistant Commissioner of the Intelligence Uganda Revenue Authority. We are delighted to have all of you with us today. So I will start by presenting the work of the Global Forum Secretariat in what refers to automatic exchange of information. So let's, yes, the presentation is already there. Let me start. Let me start by just saying the significant impact the implementation of the Common Report Standard has had across the board. So since 2009, 96 billion of additional revenue has been identified due to the implementation of the Common Reporting Standards. And developing countries identified 38% of this amount. Not all Global Forum members are implementing the CRS at this stage. So we have enhanced our capacity building program since 2021 to unlock this potential that the CRS can bring for all jurisdictions. With these efforts, we have now 127 jurisdictions committed to start the CRS exchanges by a specific date, of which 52 are developing countries. Between 2025 now and 2027, we have already 10 additional jurisdictions that should start their first CRS exchanges. And these concrete results encourage the Global Forum to be even more ambitious. In particular, we are focusing on the 43 developing countries that are members of the Global Forum, but that have not yet committed to the CRS. So they are not benefiting from this important tool for domestic research mobilization and for tax compliance. Indeed, as more developing countries participate in automatic exchange of information, they are receiving an increasing volume of data. Developing countries received information on over 40 million of financial accounts covering assets of nearly 2.7 trillion of euros in 2023. They send information on over 12 million of financial accounts, and these financial accounts, they represented nearly 1 trillion in assets. So this means that the amount of information they sent corresponds about 30% of the total number of financial accounts they received, and over three times the information they 3 times they received than the information they sent in terms of value. So the benefit is evident here, and providing a comprehensive capacity building is critical then, first to raise awareness and then to help the interest jurisdiction to effectively implement and use the CRS data. So the implementation of the Global Forum strategy to unleash the potential of automatic exchange of information for developing countries was launched in 2021, as I said, and it has translated in more and more developing countries committing to this standard and effectively starting it. Since 2021, there is an increase of 30% in the number of committed jurisdictions, and they are in majority developing jurisdictions. In 2023, we reported to the G20 the positive progress achieved and committed to strengthen our support to take stock of the experience gained. So in 2024, we launched new initiatives to support the automatic exchange of information implementation. In particular, I want to call your attention to the preliminary maturity assessment on information security management that I will present in a minute. So the strategy of to accompany our members in their CRS implementation is built around the three axes: developing knowledge tools, meaning toolkit, guidance, e-learning, etc., delivering trainings, and providing technical assistance. This package covers all the areas of CRS implementation, from putting in place the necessary confidentiality and data security requirements to the legal administrative compliance frameworks and going up to making effective use of the CRS data. So last year marked an exceptional active year for the CRS technical assistance. 82 jurisdictions received support to implement the CRS or to make further use of this data, which represents a 54 increase from the number of jurisdictions that had been supported in 2023. This growth reflects also the rising number of developing countries that are committed to implementing the CRS by 2027. So now I want to jump into the information security management, which is essential to manage the risk, to protect the CRS data, and to ensure the confidentiality of the information. This is a core requirement from the start of a CRS journey. As a commitment in 2023, the G20, in the G20 report on the implementation of our strategy, we launched an ad hoc program to offer to our 38 members that had not yet engaged in ISM technical assistance a high-level assessment of their readiness to such exchanges. 21 members decided to participate, and most of these members have lower capacity, and they are in the majority in Africa. The initiative was delivered through virtual meetings to discuss the various components of the automatic exchange implementation, and it had a particular focus on information security management. As an outcome, the members were provided with a maturity report along with a proposed work plan for implementation, work plan that is practical and realistic. And the results out of this program are quite encouraging, with most of the participant members well positioned to commence exchanges in a 3-year time span if they receive the adequate support. 19 of them have decided to continue this program, the technical assistance, and this technical assistance aims at help them decide on what would be an appropriate AEOI starting date. So currently we have 40 jurisdictions receiving ISM assistance to enhance their ISM framework, either as part of exploring their participation in AEOI or focusing on preparation for the pre or post-exchange assessments. In addition, we launched the ISM network, which is an opportunity for share experience on information security aspects and and it puts together experts in ISM from tax administrations, and they discuss key ISM topics in a context of evolving cybersecurity threats. It gathers 325 experts from more than 85 jurisdictions, and more than half of these experts are from developing jurisdictions. This network is complemented by our quarterly live hour sessions that are very well attended, and also the October ISM days, where we go deeper and discuss specific topics related to ISM. So we have also developed 13 tools and 5 e-learning courses that are accessible to tax officials, covering a broad range of ISM topics, and they are available in English, French, and Spanish. Establishing effective legal frameworks is critical for CRS implementation, and in last year, we supported 34 jurisdictions with the drafting or the revision of their legal frameworks for AEOI, and we also developed 2 model CRS rules, a voluntary disclosure program toolkit, and 1 e-learning, and they are all available at least in English, French, and Spanish. Administrative Compliance Strategy Program was launched in 2023 to help the jurisdictions foster the effectiveness of their CRS implementation. This is a large-scale program, and it revolves around 3 axes. We deliver 4 tools and 3 webinars to support members in designing and implementing a compliance strategy. And this compliance strategy aims at ensuring that financial institutions comply with their CRS obligation, and then we can guarantee the quality of the information that is exchanged. We also provided bilateral technical support to 28 jurisdictions. Now, all these programs have been completed, and we continue providing assistance to jurisdictions currently undergoing their second round of effectiveness review. We also developed dedicated training and launched a 3-month train-the-trainer program to help jurisdictions develop domestic capacity to perform the verifications on the financial institution compliance with the CRS. At its core, the CRS aims to combat tax evasion and to enhance domestic research mobilization. So it is crucial that the CRS collected data be effectively used. So in 2024, 7 jurisdictions received bilateral support on using the CRS data, including cleaning and matching it. 2 trainings on CRS data utilization took place, and we trained 114 officials from 11 jurisdictions. One of our regional initiatives, the Asia Initiative, made effectively using the CRS data a priority, and they established a working group. This working group has developed a step-by-step guide on cleansing and matching the CRS data, and a guide on tax adjustments based on the CRS data. So looking ahead and building on the lessons learned from the CRS implementation, we launched last year a strategy to support the implementation of the crypto asset reporting framework through a 3-pronged capacity building approach, raising awareness and developing knowledge, building tools and guidance to facilitate the implementation, and providing bilateral technical assistance. 15 developing countries have already committed to implement the CARF by 27 or 28. And we expect more developing countries to want to implement, as they are quite exposed to the use of offshore crypto asset providers. There is also a great interest in developing skills in this area. In 2024 and 2025 until February, we have already more than 1,600 officials trained. And we are confident that the widespread implementation of the CARF will mirror the success of the CRS, bringing transformative benefits to all members, including developing countries. So I will pause here, and before handing the floor to our speakers, I want to thank the donors of our capacity building program, without whom all this work would not be possible. So let me stop here my presentation and move to our first speaker. I would like to welcome Mr. Geoffrey Njuguna, the Deputy Commissioner of the Kenya Revenue Authority. And Mr. Geoffrey, Kenya has just started its first automatic exchange of financial account information. Could you kindly share with us Kenya's efforts that have led to this pivotal moment?
Thank you, Zeda, for giving us an opportunity to share Kenya's experience. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I want to appreciate the hosting of this online event and the global forum for giving Kenya an opportunity to share its our experience in implementing the common reporting standards. We are delighted that we have finally embarked and concluded our first exchanges. The efforts leading to this moment were lengthy and included the following. There was the political commitment and leadership. As you may be aware, implementation of our common reporting standards required political will and carries leadership commitment for introduction of the CRS as an obligation to financial institutions. And our cabinet secretary in the National Treasury made a political commitment to implement automatic exchange of information in 2020. This was necessary as the process needed legislative changes to be effected to introduce reporting requirements for FIs. As we are all aware, there has to be putting laws that could support the implementation of the automatic exchange of information. Kenya's KRA's top leadership also had to commit resources in terms of funds, in terms of staff, and even space in the midst of competing interests. And these were crucial for the successful implementation of the CRS in Kenya. Kenya had to go and buy an off-the-shelf automatic exchange of information system, which had a big financial implication. And it had also to train staff and provide a well-resourced office that it meets international standards, which now was an integral step that was required. And it was a journey that had to get full support from the KRA's management. There could have been some challenges that were encountered, and in 2022, we were severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and this one stalled legislative processes. As a country, we had to focus on legislative measures that were meant to at least cushion the populace. And for that matter, there was a delay in legislating on the automatic exchange of information. And then there was the system resource constraints and the lengthy internal procurement and approval processes. And these were, we had even to possibly even seek for funding from other sources and reallocate for the purpose of implementing and procuring the automatic exchange of information system. In addition, we had to work with the financial institutions and we had to encourage them and take them through the reporting obligations before they could be onboarded and accept to do the implementation. This, in a big way, helped in reducing the uncertainty surrounding the implementation process. And once the technical hitches were dealt with, the financial institutions were able to file their CRS returns, and the CRS data was exchanged with partner jurisdictions, and we have statistics that we wish to share that we've already sent out 39 accounts to 39 partner jurisdictions, which have a value of 1.3 billion US dollars, and we have received over 134,000 decrypted accounts from 19 countries, and out of which 48 have a value of 5.3 billion. We are encrypting more accounts, and therefore we expect their value to increase in the coming days. We wish to acknowledge the technical support and capacity building that we have gotten support from the different partners, and we wish to acknowledge the technical assistance and confidentiality, data safeguards and information security management framework that was received from the Global Forum Secretariat in 2021 to 2019 to 2021, and this one was give us an immense value. There has been trainings in collaboration with ATAF and HMRC in 2024, which was very useful in knowledge sharing. And this enabled KRA staff and more so the staff working in the common reporting standards appreciate better and assist the financial institutions in fulfilling their filing requirements. We had also to go through a training by the system vendor and taking financial institutions and other relevant stakeholders through the automatic exchange of information system, which was done in August 2024, which ensured that the financial institutions were familiar with the system before filing commenced, and they were able to train their staff also, and also commit resources and invest in technology solutions to ensure compliance. As KRA, we've developed a dedicated communication channel for financial institutions in order to ensure their queries are efficiently handled and responses given promptly, and thus instilling confidence and reducing uncertainty around CRS implementation. We would wish to encourage widespread implementation of CRS, and based on the positive experience that Kenya has had, Kenya would wish to encourage developing countries that have not implemented the common reporting standards for the automatic exchange of financial information to begin the process of implementation. Kenya would also wish to encourage other countries, and more so developing countries, to participate actively in events and workshops on the practical implementation of our CRS. This definitely will allow for real-time sharing of best practices and lessons learned from other jurisdictions, and thus enable this country to improve on their CRS implementation strategies. We are a testimony that Global Forum can support this journey by continuing to offer tailored support and guidance where needed. This support can be specific to a country and unique to the level of implementation that the country will have attained at that particular point. Also, we recommend targeted capacity building programs, including training workshops and technical assistance to enhance the skills and knowledge of tax officers and financial institutions in various areas such as the common reporting standards, administrative compliance strategy are also welcome. Thank you, and that one marks the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Deputy Commissioner. This is really encouraging, and I want to congratulate Kenya for reaching this very important milestone. I'm sure Kenya will benefit more and more from the data that it's receiving, and as the years pass, you would really see this translating into revenue. So thank you very much for sharing your journey with us. So now I'm going to turn to our next speaker. And as you know, the purpose of the CRS, as of any form of exchange of information, is to serve as a potent tool to combat tax evasion and to strengthen domestic resource mobilization. So now I would like to ask Mr. Edward Apenteng Jamera to share with us Ghana's strides in making the effective use of the CRS data.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. And thank you for inviting Ghana to share with you our experiences in using the CRS data for the last 2-3 years. The outline of my presentation will be to give you introduction to Ghana's use of the CRS data, the revenue that we have derived from the CRS data, our commitment to strengthen CRS implementation, and also encouraging the widespread of CRS interpretation. Then I'll end with the enhancing, exchange. Then I'll end with enhancing data exchange for effective tax administration. So by way of introduction, Ghana officially began participating in the Common Reporting Standard in 2019 and making a significant step towards global tax transparency, which we had it in our tax law in 2015. And in 2021, Ghana passed the confidentiality assessment and started exchanging financial account information from multiple jurisdictions on reciprocal basis. Ghana has prioritized the use of the CRS data to enhance tax compliance, prevent tax evasion, and strengthen domestic revenue mobilization through the identification of offshore assets and undeclared income. And in fact, the CRS data has also enabled us to now implement a provision in our Income Tax Act, which actually allows resident persons to file and declare their global income. Let me share with you the data that we have received, information we have received since 2021 to 2023. Now for 2021-2022 accounting year, we received 181,946 number of accounts. And the face value of this is 5.6 billion euros. And this we got it from 73 countries. In 2023, which we received the data in latter part of last year, 2024, we received 91,321 accounts with a face value of 3.2 billion euros. And this time around, we got it from 89 countries. So gradually, we are increasing, we are improving on the number of countries that we are receiving the information from. Now, let me share with you what we have also been using this data for. And for us in Ghana, we are using this data to generate additional revenue. I would say significant revenue. And our approach has been, we are adopting a dual approach to maximize the effectiveness of the use of the data. The approaches we are using are: one, we are encouraging voluntary disclosures by taxpayers. And two, also strict enforcement of the tax laws against persons that will fail to comply when you are flagged through the CRS data. And I'm happy to let you know that through the effective use of the CRS data, Ghana has been able to identify an estimated additional revenue of 194 million euros. And out of this, in 2024, using the Special Voluntary Disclosure Program, we were able to collect 56 million euros through this program. So this is the very significant so far as our domestic revenue mobilization is concerned. So going forward, our commitment to strengthen the CRS implementation. At Ghana, we recognize the effective implementation of the CRS data requires ongoing capacity building, improved regulatory framework, and also we need a lot of cross-border cooperation to be able to implement the CRS data effectively. Then again, we will need to collaborate with the Global Forum and other international task bodies to ensure that Ghana continues to improve capacity and also provide strategic guidance. Then, by maintaining a proactive approach, Ghana aims to increase compliance rate and generate substantial tax revenue in the years ahead. The key initiatives that we are using to enhance CRS implementation are: one, expanding the auditors' skill sets to interpret and analyze complex financial data from the CRS report. And we are also leveraging advanced data analytic tools to automate risk assessment and case selection. The next is we are also enhancing the exchange of information on request framework to complement the automatic information exchange and strengthen enforcement. So at this point, I want to encourage a widespread of the CRS implementation to others. And I will say that Ghana's positive experience with the CRS data serves as a model for other developing countries looking to enhance their tax enforcement capacities and also improving on their domestic revenue. The implementation of the automatic exchange of financial account information has demonstrated its potential to combat tax evasion and improve tax revenue collection, as I earlier indicated what we mobilized from this data in the year 2024. We're doing the same thing in 2025, and we're projecting an upward revenue from the data we received in 2023. We also want to further promote global tax transparency. Ghana actively encourages that more developing countries to join the CRS initiative and benefit from international cooperation in tracking offshore tax evasion, which without this, it will be very difficult for each individual to do it on its own. And we also want government to strengthen domestic policies and audit procedures to make full use of CRS data that they receive. Then we are also, in fact, we also request and encourage the adoption of public awareness program to educate the public, educate the general public on their obligations and deter non-compliance. So I want to also talk briefly on enhancing how we can enhance exchange of that data exchange for effective tax administration. And here, the automatic exchange of information framework has revolutionized Ghana's ability to track offshore financial holdings and ensure tax compliance. Ghana has successfully exchanged thousands of financial accounts records, significantly improved the country's capacity to identify undeclared assets and underreported income. Enhancing data exchange for effective, we are looking ahead. Ghana's strategic priorities include the following: to expand bilateral and multilateral data exchange agreements to gain deeper insight into foreign held assets, such as the country by country, the CBC reporting, and the crypto asset reporting frameworks. Also developing more advanced data matching algorithms to accurately assess taxpayers' financial activities. And we are also looking forward to enhance collaboration with financial institutions to streamline data reporting and improve compliance. And by continuously refining its use of CRS data, Ghana is well positioned to maximize tax revenue collection and create a more robust and transparent tax system. On that note, thank you. This is the experiences that Ghana has over the last 3-4 years when we started implementing the CRS data. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was really a pleasure to listen to Ghana's experience. I think it's very encouraging, and you have highlighted very clearly the benefits, not only in terms of revenue mobilization, but also in taxpayer compliance and the overall impact in the tax system. So congratulations to Ghana, and thank you very much for sharing your journey with us. Now I will move to Mario Ramos. Mario Ramos from Costa Rica, and we will share with us if you could, your experience in the progress in raising additional revenue thanks to the CRS data. I know Costa Rica has a very interesting experience, and I'm looking forward to listening about it. Mario Ramos, please.
Bueno, muy buenos días y muy buenas tardes a todos los distinguidos participantes.
Good morning and good afternoon to all the distinguished participants. I thank Saida for the kind introduction and the opportunity to be a part of this important event. The scenario in Costa Rica in the tax transfer area has evolved and changed considerably in recent years. For several months, we have been working in a highly committed way, not only to improve from the tax internal perspective, but in order to check our partners with the exchange of information in all modalities. Let me place you within context of the Costa Rican legislation for you to understand how this works. Costa Rica has a territorial tax system. Nevertheless, it is important that even though we have this system of territorial taxes, the information and the received data of this exchange of information, they have been a useful tool that has enabled us to identify and combat
¿cómo se llama? Combatir la evasión fiscal.
Tax
Cuando
evasion.
los contribuyentes han
When
intentado
taxpayers have tried
ocultar
to
ingresos
hide
ingravables en
their
otras
income
jurisdicciones.
in other
La
jurisdictions,
asistencia
taxable
técnica que nos
incomes
ha
in other
proporcionado a
jurisdictions.
nosotros el Foro
The
Global
technical support that
nos
has
ha
been given
permitido
to
a
us by
nosotros
the Global
mejorar
Forum
el
has
limpieza y
allowed
el
us to
emparejamiento de la
improve
información
the
recibida
leveling of
con
the
base
received
en la
information
información
based
de
on the
datos fiscales.
information of the
Entonces, tal
tax
vez un
data.
poco el
So,
trabajo que hemos
well,
hecho
this is
en
part of the
relación con el
work that we have
análisis
done in regards
de
to the
información.
exchange
Lo
of
primero que hicimos
information
fue, bueno, fue
requests.
hasta el año
Now, the first thing
2024 que nosotros
was up
logramos
to the year
finalmente
2024
aperturar
that
la
we
información
opened up
y
this
a
information
partir de ahí
finally.
iniciamos con el
And
plan piloto.
from this moment
Entonces,
on,
de
we
esta
started
manera,
with
este
a
plan piloto con
pilot
lo que
plan.
hicimos fue
Now, this
priorizar
pilot plan
los casos
allowed
en
us to
orden
establish the
descendente,
priorities
es
of the
decir,
different
de la
cases
mayor
in
cuantía
a
a la menor
descending area,
cuantía.
from the highest amount to the
Igualmente, al
lowest
ser una
amount.
materia nueva
Now,
para
being
nuestros
this something new
funcionarios,
for our tax
generamos una especie de
officials,
diccionarios
we
que
created a
que
glossary
permitieron a los
that
funcionarios
allowed
actuantes
the
de
government
poder
officials
categorizar la
to
información y también
categorize the
entender un poco
information
de qué se
and
trata
also to
esto.
understand what
Es
this is
así
all about.
como en
This
el
is
año
how, in the
2024,
year
generamos lo que
2024,
nosotros
we
llamamos
have
dos remesas,
generated
que
what
son
we
los
call two
listados de casos
remittances,
que
which are
se
the lists of
remiten
cases
desde la
that are
Dirección de Inteligencia Tributaria hacia las
remittances
áreas de
that the
fiscalización.
tax head office
Esta
to the
primera
inspection
remesa
areas. These first
que se
remittances
remitió
that were
el día 21 de
remitted
junio
on
del
the 21st
2024
of June of
tenía 10
2024
casos
had
con
10
un monto
cases
total
included for
reportado
a
de
total reported
93,2
amount of
millones de dólares.
$93.2 million.
Y una segunda
And
remesa
a second remittance
equivalente a
that
5
is
casos
equivalent to 5
que se
cases
remitió el 10 de
that
octubre
was
por
remitted on the 10th of October
2.328
for the
millones
equivalent
de
of
dólares.
$2 billion
Igualmente, con esta remesa,
$32 million.
además de la
With this
información que
remittance,
venía
apart from the
proveniente
information
del
that
CRS,
came from the
se
CRS,
consignaron una serie de
we
datos
also identified a series of data,
asociados propiamente a los
associated data
contribuyentes, como las declaraciones de
to the
renta, los
taxpayers,
impuestos
such
pagados
as
por
their
remesas
income
al
tax,
exterior,
uh,
información sobre las
returns,
importaciones
foreign
y una serie
information,
de datos
information on imports,
identificativos con los cuales
and
nosotros contamos en
data
nuestras bases
that
de
we
datos.
have within
Esto
our
con el fin de
database.
poder
Now, this with
alinear
the purpose of
o
being able
que
to align
robustecer la información del
or make
CRS y que
the
fuera
CRS
una
information
actuación
more
mucho más
robust and
importante o
that
mucho
it will
más
be
robusta por
a
parte de
more
nuestros auditores
important
fiscales.
information obtained by our general
Esta
auditors.
remesa 1,
Now,
ya
this
tenemos datos
remittance
de esta
1,
remesa 1
we
del
have data of
2024.
it
Entonces,
from
del total de
2024.
los
Of the
93,2
total of the
millones de dólares,
$93.2
hemos
million,
descartado
we have discarded
48,1 millones
48.1 million,
recuerdan que les
given the fact
expliqué
that
que Costa Rica
I have
tiene
told you that
un
Costa Rica
sistema
has
territorial,
a
entonces
territorial
los
tax system.
ingresos
So the
provenientes o
income that
reportados
come
por
or
CRS
reported
no
by
estaban
CRS
sujetos al
were
pago de
not
impuestos
subject
en
to the
Costa Rica.
payment of
Sin
taxes
embargo,
in
las
Costa Rica.
explicaciones
Nevertheless,
que nos dieron
the
los contribuyentes
implications
fueron muy
and
interesantes y
explanations given
sobre
to us by
todo una cosa
taxpayers were
muy
very
importante es
important.
que se
And
generó
something relevant is
una
that we
importante
generated
sensación de
an
riesgo en los
important feeling
contribuyentes en el
of
sentido
risk
de
in taxpayers in
cómo se
regards
enteró que yo
to
tenía esa
how is it you
información
found out
en
that I had this
otros países.
information
Entonces,
in other
a
countries.
pesar de
So
no ser
even
ingresos sujetos al
though
pago de
these are
impuestos en
not
Costa Rica,
income
sí se
subject to
generó una
tax
importante
payments in
sensación de
Costa
riesgo
Rica,
por parte de los
there was a
contribuyentes,
risk feeling
además de
on
la
behalf of the
expertise
taxpayers
que han ido
created by
adquiriendo
this,
los
apart from
funcionarios
the
actuantes.
expertise that the government
Una
tax
cosa muy
officials have been
interesante es
acquiring.
que sí
Something
tenemos
very
unos
interesting
casos
here is that we
que
do
van a
have
ser
cases in place
denunciados
that will be
ante el Ministerio
reported
Público,
before the
no por evasión fiscal,
Attorney
sino
General,
por
not
algún
for
otro
tax
delito, lo
evasion,
que
but
nosotros
for
llamamos los
any
delitos
other crime
disidentes.
that
Esto
we call
por
the
un total de
dissident
20,4
element. This is
millones
for
de
a
dólares.
total of
Y tenemos
$24.4 million,
otros casos que
and
están
this
a
is called a
fiscalizar por
dissident crime. And we have additional amount of
24.5
$24.5
millones de dólares.
million
Entonces, en total,
taxable. So
nosotros
in
ya
total,
logramos
we have already
analizar un
achieved to
51%
analyze
del monto,
51%
un 51% del monto total
of
reportado
the
que
total
no
reported
paga
amount
impuestos,
that is not taxable, and a 22% that will be a part of the Attorney General's, and other 27%. So we're talking about a total of $7,370,000 in addition to the sanctions. Now, if I can go back, in the second remittance, the reported amounts were discarded because there were reporting errors by our partners that are exchanging the information with us. Now, here we have a third remittance that was directed to the fiscal areas, and where we are once again working with our dictionaries, our glossaries, and in descending order. There is a third remittance on November 11th for 50 cases for $2,129,000,000, and a remittance of 220 cases for $2,479,000,000. Likewise, within these cases, we align this information with the reported persons with the internal information that we have, so our auditors can, in a more effective and assertive way, reach the reality of the facts. And of course, taking into account that we have previous experience, so our auditors, let's say that they have been understanding of this work, and they have been developing the skills in order to consider these different cases. Likely, as we can see here, we have generated these remittances that are quite considerable in regards to the reported amount of money, and they are all under study. It is important to bring to your attention that we have generated an important discussion within the media and also the consulting and advisory companies, that the fact that the tax head office has understanding and knowledge of this information, but we're also using it. So as a part of the accountability processes that the public administration has, the Ministry of the Treasury issued a statement to the press by the end of last year explaining all of this. And this gave way to news within the media and the social media, where it was explained that we already have access to this information. Not only this, but we are also using this information. So our auditors are becoming specialized in this area. We have a group of persons that are going to be dedicated only to this. And well, this enabled us also to change our taxing procedures, because these cases cannot be considered as ordinary. We have to have a previous stage of connection with taxpayers in order to understand where these revenues come from, and as a result of this, to have a taxing activity, or as you were able to identify in the previous slides, of anything that has to do with a tax authority for any other associated tax crime related to this. As you can see, we have a continuous commitment with the use of this information, because we have identified that it is very relevant. So from our point of view, the use of this information in order to obtain more and better tax revenues, and also because taxpayers are getting to know this area, and they are being more, they're having a greater trust and respect for the tax administration. So this is a very positive situation. Costa Rica, even though we have not been identified as a relevant jurisdiction in relation to the crypto assets framework, Costa Rica has decided that this is a very useful tool and powerful tool in order to fight tax evasion. tax crimes are always changing, so the taxpayers know that we have information coming from the banking institution, so they will try to hide their income through crypto assets. So having identified the importance of this information, we have implemented, and we are committed that for 2027, we would have implemented, based on the lessons learned, everything that has to do with CRS in regards to crypto assets. That means that the Ministry of Treasury has presented a draft project to the legislative group with the necessary code to comply with the international standard in regards to tax transparency, exchange of information in areas related to crypto assets. This is the way that Costa Rica is motivating other jurisdictions to implement this, because as we have more jurisdictions involved in this, we will be able to combat tax evasion through this new tools available. I thank you so much.
Muchas gracias, Mario. Muy interesante la experiencia de Costa Rica.
We thank Mario. Costa Rica's experience is very interesting. And also you're talking about crypto assets. So this gives us the possibility of turning to another topic that I want to touch here.
So I'm going to turn to English now. So the implementation of the CRS has been a clear success. You have heard the experience of several jurisdictions, Costa Rica, Ghana, Kenya, and this has been translated into very tangible benefits for developing jurisdictions. New risks, however, emerge, and this risk could undermine these achievements. One of the such risks is exactly the crypto assets. These crypto assets fall outside the scope of the CRS reporting. So I would like to ask Assistant Commissioner Julius Kwazire from Uganda to tell us a bit what is Uganda's perspective, as Uganda has just taken a very important step, committing to implement the crypto asset reporting framework. So it would be very interesting to also hear from Uganda. What is the perspective of Uganda when it reaches this decision?
Okay, thank you, Zaida Manata, our session moderator, for this opportunity to share Uganda's perspective on the journey to CARF commitment. I do appreciate the interventions made by other distinguished panelists for this session and the participants for their engagement in this year's discussion on tax development. This year, marks Uganda's 12th anniversary since we started to reap the benefit of tax transparency and exchange of information. Reflecting on the journey, one would wonder whether the strategic decision was worthwhile, given that there was high-level commitment required, the investment required in terms of the information technology, human and financial resources, and the highly technical aspects of tax transparency standards. So let me now talk about what the Uganda's journey. Uganda took a strategic decision to implement exchange of information, starting with exchange of information on request, and later transitioned to automatic exchange of information. To achieve this long-term strategy, Uganda actively pursued the following legal and administrative infrastructure. We started with expansion of the exchange of information treaty network. Uganda expeditiously signed and ratified the multilateral convention on mutual administrative assistance on tax matters in 2015. The MAC was crucial to the implementation of both exchange of information and automatic exchange of information. The second action done was setting up a fully-fledged exchange of information unit. The exchange of information unit, which started in 2014, later evolved to pave way for an independent automatic exchange of information unit in 2022. This unit will be mandated to grow and operationalize the crypto asset reporting framework. The third one, undertaking the peer reviews of exchange of information on request and automatic exchange of information. Uganda has undergone 2 rounds of peer review on exchange of information on request in 2016 and 2024. Uganda also recently concluded the confidentiality and data safeguards, the CDS assessment for reciprocal automatic exchange of information. This would not have been possible without the technical assistance and support from the OECD Global Forum and peers to build capacity and expertise. Uganda has also built capacity through participating in the technical working groups. They include the first one, peer review group. We have been there from 2017 to date. The working group on risk since 2023 to date. The automatic exchange of information peer review group, the APRG Plus, 2017 to date. Exchange of information peer review assessment panel since December 2024. The CARF group since 2023 to date. Uganda is now in her final stages of the in-house automatic exchange of information IT system development in preparation for the first exchanges which will take place in September this year. Uganda has also carried out stakeholder engagements for both internal and external clients in both cover the raw and exchange and our IT systems. From the above endeavors, Uganda over the years gained tax revenue from implementing exchange of information. For a period of 2014 to 2024, Uganda reported a revenue of 91 million euros. Therefore, the decision to commit to implement the CARF was precipitated by Uganda's previous experience and benefits from implementing exchange of information on request and exchange of including spontaneous exchange of information. I will talk about this, the case study of spontaneous exchange with a treaty partner. In 2020, Uganda obtained spontaneous bulk crypto asset information from one treaty partner. This information was furnished by one virtual asset service provider in that supplying state. From the data, Uganda Revenue Authority identified 670 individuals involved in person-to-person exchanges from one online trading company. A total of 222 million euros was traded by Uganda tax residents over the 3 years that we shared that information. This data has been analyzed and assessments raised on the basis of one, undeclared income from the sales that were invested in the crypto assets, gains made on the purchase and sales of those crypto assets, and some cases of willful neglect and fraud have commenced. URA has commenced prosecution. This experience reinforces Uganda's understanding of the potential benefits of participating in the CARF exchanges. Joining the workforce, the work group for crypto asset reporting framework CARF, the spontaneous data enabled Uganda to realize and quantify the volume and the scale of crypto assets involved by the Ugandan resident taxpayers. This informed Uganda Revenue Authority's need to monitor the level of tax compliance in this sector. Thus, Uganda joined the crypto asset working group with 3 delegates. The primary objective was to further understand the modalities for the implementation of CARF, and the impact it would have on the common reporting standard. Thus, Uganda's active participation in CARF has placed Uganda at the forefront of discussions on technical aspects and positioned it to contribute to effective and widespread implementation of CARF. Looking ahead, what are we committing for in the year 2027? Uganda has made a political commitment to implement CARF by 2027. To achieve this timeline, Uganda has embarked on securing high-level government commitments and necessary approvals. Uganda has also commenced on stakeholder engagement of players in the crypto asset business in Uganda to understand their level of market participation and devise appropriate legal and regulatory frameworks. Uganda recognizes the virtual assets are highly mobile. Therefore, there is need for global adoption of CARF, eliminate pockets of non-participating jurisdictions which can be exploited by virtual asset service providers to bypass reporting obligation and undermine the progress so far made. I thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. It was really very interesting to listen to your explanations about Uganda's journey and also the benefit that Uganda has obtained and that Uganda expects to obtain. Thank you very much for sharing that. I also now want to thank all of our speakers. I think this has been a very interesting panel where we could see the different experience and also the benefits that they are obtaining and their expectations. I thank all of you who have followed us, and I will close now this session and hand it back to our OECD colleagues. Thank you very much for being with us today.